Senzeni na Tina Senzeni na Tina Senzeni na
How are you feeling? I know we're always suspicious of feelings, aren't we? What is he asking us? Well, I wanted you to feel something, to tell me how, bodily sensations, because feelings matter. Feelings matter. They matter as much as thoughts. And Eusebius already touched on this. In the history of Western civilization, thoughts is privileged over feelings, right? They matter as much as actions. In fact, some people say feelings are actions. And sometimes they matter much more because they give you a signal. Bodily sensations and feelings are a signal that something is wrong or something is right. But that doesn't mean you have to abandon critique. Be critical of your own feelings. Be political in thinking about feelings. But your joy matters. Decolonial joy is a word I heard last week. I was in Utrecht. Of course, decolonial love comes a long way from Fanon. Your love then matters. It matters to you, of course, but it also matters to the people who would be loved by you. Your sadness matters. Your pain matters. And pain, of course, if not the others, pain connects much more closely to the body. But all of them are connected to sensations. Your rage matters. This is bell hooks, of course. Rage matters. You and me and all of us have, if you will, a right to feel all emotions. And the moment you understand this, that your love, and I will speak a lot about the slave here, the enslaved body. If you understand that the slave has a right to love, that the slave is struggling for the right to joy, you're already posing a challenge to white supremacy. But it is dangerous for black people to feel, of course. Whole legal systems are based on white fears, on white emotions, on the denial of black feelings. So to be black in an anti-black world is to grow up to learn that those who would be white, this is Ta-Nehisi quotes when he references white people, because black people have less of a choice to be black than white people have a choice to be white. Right. So those who would be white have more right to feelings. As I said, because the whole legal systems are based on that. In South Africa, there was the notion, you will have seen it here, of swart gevaar. This is a white feeling that I'm afraid of the blacks. I'm afraid of black bodies. So the very idea of white fears, of swart gevaar, is founded on anti-blackness. That's why you have the phrase white fears, because it speaks to white supremacy. So what you see happening, and I want to enlarge our conversation, not just Marikana and Life is Timeni, post-1994, but also going earlier, but I want to enlarge it to a global level, to think about blackness in the world today. So what happened in New Zealand is precisely this, that white fears about immigration, or white fears about people of color are important. And you will have watched, like me, most of you, if you pay particular attention, there's something you didn't hear coming from the US. You know what it is? Travel ban. Nobody said, white people have to be warned against Australia. But if it had happened in Kenya, if it had happened in Malawi, if it had happened in the Gambia, there would have been that if you're going to go to the Gambia, take precautions, precisely because of a global system that is founded on white fears and white emotions. So what happens in the US with Trump was based precisely on this, on white fears, on white emotion. What happens with the swing to the right in Europe is again an anti-immigration sentiment. What happened, the sentiment, one of the sentiments underlying Brexit is again about white fears. So black bodies and what they feel is precisely the underneath, what Ta-Nehisi Coates calls the underneath of white civilization. And we don't pay attention to our own feelings because white supremacy says black feelings, black bodies, black sentiments are not as important as white sentiments. How am I doing? 2 or 3 minutes? Yeah. And here's the thing, because I see young people here. White fears are, of course, and of course white rage is dangerous for black people. Very dangerous. Now, what would a world look like where the fears of young black girls are taken seriously? C.L.R. James, in his play with the subtitle, The Only Successful Revolt, Slave Revolt in the World, has something wonderful to say about, well, indirectly about this. So General Toussaint sends a document to General Napoleon Bonaparte. And you'll hear a word here. And when Bonaparte receives the document, the Constitution of Saint Domingue, which would become Haiti, and then Saint Domingo would separate from it later. General Bonaparte, on receiving the document, says something like, "This is the most outrageous document that has ever come into my hands. We shall put these impertinent blacks in their place." The word is place. You'll have seen again here. This word that black people have a place, and the place is not on the same plane as white people. It is below that. The black body is below white bodies. So what makes this document, every time I think of that, what makes this document that is referenced in the play but also in the Black Jacobins, what C.L.R. James did? It is because the slave cannot demand recognition. The slave cannot write a constitution. The slave cannot demand that I'm feeling pain. The slave cannot speak about the body because the slave is a body. The slave is a property. Because the slave then is a property par excellence, and Eusebius already says, the slave is a property because he is part of a number of things that go into the economy. And Ta-Nehisi Coates says this, that at some point, the South in America was making more money from trading in humans and black people than in anything else. So you'll understand why the South in America went to war, because their property was being endangered. The body then cannot decide to be free. But think about it, right? If you are the body, if you are property, you cannot decide. You cannot think, you cannot feel, so you cannot be free. And hence the black body, the black who is the body, must be put in her place. Where is the place of the black? It's below the house, below the master's house, in the slave quarter, outside the circle of the human. And this is not an old thing. Once again, to repeat, precisely this indifference you see in Europe about black men mostly, and black women dying, is precisely because black people cannot feel as much pain as white people. So it is a very present condition of the black body that you are witnessing. The black, which the body is outside of the circle of feeling, which is the cycle of being human, because the slave, this body is the epitome of dehumanization, of unfreedom. The black slave then cannot feel the pain. And so when students at UCT, Stellenbosch, are talking about it, they're talking precisely about it. When they say black pain, they're talking precisely about this, that I feel pain, that my body is feeling pain. Take cognizance of this. Admit it. Admit it into the class, admit it into your policies, because they recognize that a whole system is based on the black as a body and the body as a feeling. I think I'll stop.